Baccalaureate service. I'm Lori, and I'm youth minister here at First Christian Church, along with Brian, our worship leader here. We're going to start by singing Amazing Grace, My Chains Are Gone. Please join us. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. His grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me, and like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me, and like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow, the sun forbear to shine. But God, who called me here below, will be forever mine. Will be forever mine. You are forever mine.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Dear Father, thank you for allowing us to hold this special ceremony during these uncertain times. With the state of the world being so unknown, knowing you are with us gives all students, parents, and teachers, and many more, hope that we will come out of this stronger than ever. Thank you for looking over me and my fellow classmates during our senior year. Though it was cut short, I know God still has a plan for each and every student. Amen.
My name is Brandy Eaton. I am a 2008 graduate of TCHS, and then I went to Lincoln Christian University and graduated with honors in 2013. I'm very sorry I couldn't be with you all tonight. I was looking forward to hugging a couple of you and surprising a couple of you, but unfortunately with everything going on, that just wasn't in the cards. So here I am in my home office. My notes are on paper. We'll see how this goes. I've learned over the past couple days that it's very hard to talk into a camera when there's no one with you. I've had on 50 different outfits. I've recorded this 6 million times and none of it sounded right. So I'm hoping this one is the winner. I am not a professional public speaker, so I hope you guys can follow along. I hope you guys get something out of this, and I can't wait to celebrate you. As I said, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandy Eaton. When Lori asked me to speak to you all, I was very excited but also very nervous. My first question was, what do I possibly have to say that could leave an impact on all of you? So we're gonna see if what I came up with is the winner. I just ask you guys to give me some patience as I kind of navigate this recording myself new adventure. Like I said, I know a few of you. I really wish I was able to be there with you. One of you in particular is like my little brother, and I just want to give you a shout out. Here's to you, Jeffrey Reed, and I really hope this embarrasses you. Kind of what I want to talk about today ties into something that I've adopted in the recent years. I really like picking words that mean something to my journey at this point in my life. I usually pick one or two every so often just to let people know where I'm at. I know a lot of you probably saw the trend if you're on social media. New Year's Day, everybody was picking words for 2020. It's kind of like that, but mine is for each chapter of my journey. I kind of want to give you guys a little bit of background, just some bullet points, some things from my life that have shaped who I am and where I am and my walk with Christ. Not going to be very in-depth. I promise not to bore you. So just some quick key information that you need to know as I give you my 2 words for this chapter. At 17, I attempted suicide. I was a senior in high school. I was walking the halls that you walked every day. I have clinical depression and moderate anxiety. So high school and college were a very rough time for me. Didn't know how to handle it. And of course, that came to the forefront when I was a senior. Moved on to college, turned 21, was at a pretty good spot with my faith, and my cousin and best friend was killed in Afghanistan. Rocked my world. That was hands down the worst couple of weeks that I've ever been through. Rocked my world, rocked my faith. I went on to graduate college, as I mentioned, and at 24, I adopted a pit bull hound mix named Remus John Lupin. And yes, that is a Harry Potter reference. And if you look real close, right here, he's in a Harry Potter robe. So I'm kind of obsessed with him. He is my best friend. One of the best things that I ever did in my life was adopt him. I can truly say he is the reason that I'm still here. And he was definitely put in my life at the perfect moment. Go forward a couple years, at 25, I lost 155 pounds. I've always been a bigger girl. I've been very self-conscious. My self-esteem was always really low. So when I lost this weight, it gave me a new outlook on life. I was confident. I was happy. I became a competitive CrossFitter. All across the state of Illinois, I was doing competitions. I picked up Olympic lifting. Life was great. I was in the best place physically and mentally that I've probably ever been in. At 27, the tables kind of turned a little bit. I met someone. He was fantastic to start, but little by little, he started to tear me down. It was one of those where I was so engulfed in my feelings for him that I didn't realize that he didn't see my worth. And because of that, eventually it broke me down. My depression and anxiety came back full force. I couldn't see my worth anymore. And I actually lost my faith. I walked away from the church, walked away from my friends who were a part of the church, and kind of just isolated myself within this relationship that was consuming me, and not in a good way. About a year into our relationship, I was ready to look for something more. I needed something to fulfill me, and I needed things to get better. And I knew at that point that it was time for a change, or I was headed back down that path of staring that 17-year-old girl in the face again, trying to decide whether or not it was worth it to stay on the earth. Luckily, as I started praying, things started changing a little bit. His depression and anxiety finally got controlled. His depression was the main source of all of our issues. And so once he got help, he turned into one of the best men that I've ever been with. He is loving, he's supporting. He gave me the gift of an 8-year-old soon-to-be stepdaughter who is my whole world. So little by little, he turned around. He is not religious. He has a lot of questions, but he and I have been going to church together. He's been talking to one of our pastors over here in Springfield, Illinois. So he's definitely in the stage where he wants to know what this God thing is about. He saw something in me that triggered it, and so he is willing to ask those questions. But even though he is at his chapter where he's not really sure what a relationship with God looks like, he has been loving and supporting and pushed me straight back into my relationship with God. I'm actually involved in a Bible study. I have a great group of friends from the church. So he went from this young boy who would tear down someone to this man who knows how to love and support. He knows my worth and he reminds me of my worth, and he's fantastic. So he has definitely turned a page. He is a role model now for his daughter, and now she has standards for when she goes to date of the type of man she should be with, and it's someone like him. As I was praying early on in our relationship, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I didn't know if I would stay with Travis. I didn't know if we would work out, but I knew one thing. I knew that if I was able to see God and get back to God, that things would change again. God slowly changed my heart and showed me that he is still there. As I look back at the darkness of our relationship, I see that God was there the whole time, waiting for me to turn around and acknowledge him and to come back home. And right now, I am back home. I'm in the arms of my Savior. I'm following him. I am dedicated to him. So it definitely, through everything, he was there, and it took me turning around and acknowledging him for that relationship to flourish. So to my 2 words, 2020 has been a crazy year, not only for me, but for all of you. So the 2 words that I've picked for this chapter of my life that I remind myself every day are persistence and resilience. I've never been one to back down from a fight. 2020, I came in fighting. I was fighting for my mental health and my physical health. But I was also fighting to make life normal again. That little 8-year-old that I mentioned earlier, her mom actually chose to move 2 hours away. So her life has been flipped upside down. It has been crazy trying to find a new normal, not to replace her mom, but just to give her that loving comfort. And so that's what part of my 2020 has been. What I wasn't expecting to fight for, something I didn't plan for, and I know you guys probably didn't either, was what happened on March 21st. March 21st was the first day of our stay in shelter. Probably the first day for most of you to question whether or not your senior year was going to end how you planned it to. My heart definitely hurts for all of you, for everything that you've endured the past 2 months, from missing senior nights to missing spring sports. You haven't been able to say good morning to your friends. You haven't been able to say hello to your favorite teachers. You didn't get to go to your senior prom, and there are probably some things with graduation at this point that are still unknown. These are milestones that you guys can't get back. So I want you to hear me when I say wholeheartedly, it is okay to be upset. It is okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad. But don't let those feelings rule your next steps. I can't imagine the hurts and thoughts of uncertainty that you've all had lately. And because of that, we're going to dive into my 2 words. As I mentioned, they are persistence and resilience. Persistence is the ability to stick with something regardless of how difficult it may be. And resilience piggybacks on top of that, It is the ability to recover quickly when times get tough. So even before everything happened with this pandemic, these two words were at the forefront of my mind. So there was definitely something preparing me for this season of life, this stay in shelter, quarantine, whatever you want to call it. So those are the two words that I've clung to. I have a really hard time letting people in. Promise I'm not scary. My shaved head and my tattoos and my ear gauges might say otherwise, but once you get through my outer shell, I am a giant teddy bear. That's how I've always been, at least the teddy bear side of things. I put my trust and my faith in the wrong people throughout high school and college. Some of those people in high school were part of my church, leaders in my youth group, and I ended up getting burned, and I think it truly hurt my relationship with Christ. Going into college, even though I was at a Christian university, they call it the Christian bubble, I was just kind of going through the motions. I knew who Jesus was. I knew that, at the end of the day, I loved Jesus, but I wasn't truly following him to the extent that I could have been. And even though all of these things happened, no matter the amount of times I've been hurt, God persisted towards me. He persisted in me seeking him. He was resilient to have a relationship with me, no matter the cost. So let me just reiterate, even though things were hard for me, God persisted. He has made a way multiple times for me to come back to him. And it's usually something unique to me, something that only I'll understand. And most recently, it's been the water. I absolutely love going to the beach, as I'm sure most of you do too. But there's something about water that just calms my soul, puts me at ease, takes away all of my worries from life. When I can just sit on the beach, especially at night, watching the waves break to where the only thing you can see is the white foam rolling up to your toes and covering your feet and then washing back out to sea. In those nights of sitting on the beach and reflecting, one thing that always sticks out to me is off in the distance, there's always a lighthouse. Lighthouses are always on. They are shining away for ships at sea, regardless of weather, regardless of conditions. They were built to withstand some of the worst storms you could imagine. They're a constant on the shoreline, bringing ships to safety. And that's just like God. God is a lighthouse in the darkness. And his faithfulness is what kind of carries us through. In dark times, imagine you're that ship at sea. It can be hard to trust something. But one verse that sticks out to me is Psalm 119, 105. And that says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." I love that verse so much that it's actually scrawled up above my lighthouse tattoo that sits right here. So it's a reminder that when times are dark, or you're scared, or you're fearful, that there is a light constantly shining to get you to your next step. You're never going to be abandoned. You're never going to be left alone in the dark. There is always that lighthouse in the distance shining faithfully. Even though a lot of times in the past couple years, my path has seemed dark, I have kept moving forward. Some of that was before I came back to God and found him again, and some of it has been since. And since I've come back and started that relationship again, I will say that every time I take a step forward, I'm not hesitant. I'm not scared. I know that there is a lamp guiding my feet to make sure that my next step is sure-footed. God's persistence and resilience have rubbed off on me. I definitely don't think those would have been my words had, the past 12 years not happened. And thankfully, when persistence and resilience lead the way, that opens the door to courage. With courage, that's sometimes the only thing that keeps me moving forward. It's not easy when things are so uncertain like this time right now. I'm sure you guys have a ton of questions. Are you going to be able to start your job this summer? Are you going to be able to hang out with your friends? Will you be able to move to campus for your freshman year of college? Will making friends at college come easy if everything's going to be remote? And all of those thoughts can be scary. But with God on your side, your future isn't in question. All of your needs are going to be met as long as you keep that relationship going and trust in God. He is always going to be there. One of the verses that has kept this in my forefront of my mind is Joshua 1:9. Joshua 1:9 states, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." We don't know what the immediate future holds. But one thing I do know is that God has all of you in his hands. There are great things planned for you, whether your next steps are the workforce or college or taking a year to find yourself. But I want to give you a couple challenges. I want to challenge you to stay strong, and I want to challenge you to stay courageous. I want to challenge you to take this opportunity to find adventure and to take this opportunity to find yourself. What are some of the things that you will fight for regardless of the situation and regardless of how tough it gets? Remember that God has fought for you. He has been persistent in chasing you and resilient in his relationship with you. He's with you every step of the way, regardless of the uncertainty. I promise you all that colleges will reopen, that jobs will be available. I promise you that you're going to make new friends. And I promise you that this time in your life, when things have been so scary and so uncertain, are one day going to give you the ability to help someone else or another senior down the road who is scared and doesn't know what path to take. This is just a chapter in your story, and I hope you use it to remind someone else to be courageous, to be persistent, and to be resilient. For wherever you go, God is on your side. To the class of 2020, to the ones who did it differently, you've made it. It's time for you to see what your journey stores next. I hope that when you look back at your senior year, you don't remember the pandemic and the quarantine. I hope that you remember the friends who made your high school career amazing. I hope you remember the teachers that had an impact. And I hope you keep the memories alive as you turn around in 10 years and come to your high school reunion. I hope that this year has been amazing for you. Again, seniors, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. You made it. And I can't wait to see what your next steps are. Congratulations, guys.
Wow, class of 2020, here we are. Who knew that this time would finally come? And what an exciting time. I am so happy that you guys get to celebrate this transition in your life, and what an opportunity to just encourage you. And I hope that you go back and re-listen to Brandy's message about how God is always there. And as a youth minister and as a mom of the class of 2020, I want to read to you a passage from Colossians 1. I think most of us can probably relate to this as parents, about how often we pray for our children. And just because you're graduating from high school doesn't mean that we'll ever stop praying for you. So listen in, please. Colossians 1, starting verse 9. For this reason, since the day we heard about you, we have not stopped praying for you, asking God to fill you with the knowledge of his will through all spiritual wisdom and understanding. And we pray this in the order that you may live a life worthy of the Lord and may please him in every way, bearing fruit in every good work, growing in the knowledge of God, being strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, so that you may have great endurance and patience, and joyfully giving thanks to God our Father, who has qualified you to share in the inheritance of the saints in the kingdom of light. For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. Guys, I just pray, and I won't ever stop praying for you guys. I hope that your relationship with God will strengthen and continue to strengthen all the time. And I hope you know that you are loved by us. You are loved by God unconditionally. And I hope that you will seek him and seek his wisdom, and you will celebrate the joys that he gives you as well. Congratulations, class of 2020. We're so proud of you. I hope you enjoy this slideshow. The song in the background is called Desert Song, and it's another song about prayer. Thank you, and have a wonderful, successful journey.
You haven't sat